and Hughes, Temecula, October 3rd, 1998.
No coward's soul am I, no trembler in the world's storm-troubled sphere. I have seen heaven's glories shine, and faith shines equal, arming me from fear. Strong words, beloved. Profound words, beloved. They were the words of a soul that had chosen to leave its physical vehicle, but knew it was eternal. It knew when it used the expression, heaven shine, when it used the expression, faith, it knew it was God's love. It knew it was a being of love, and that God was steering it. And when it used the word fear, it understood the concept of Armageddon within, for it is always within. The fear is the Armageddon, beloved, that presents the manifestation without. But in surrender to its beingness, to its immortality, it conveyed those words of strength, of profound knowing, even though this being was just 30 years of age at the time. Her conviction, her God being spoke through her, to herself, just before she left her mortal coil. It was as though she was saying, O death, where is thy sting? O grave, where is thy victory? There are words always of the soul that knows that there is no such thing as death. Now, of course, you are here, beloved. You are here because something within your very being is driving you into a reality of the immortality of beingness. Immortality is love. It is that God essence that you are, dear heart. It is that knowing, no matter what appears to be presenting in your materialized plane of consciousness, in your physical manifestation. I come in the heart of love. I come in the message of all that is, as an instrument for the beloved. It does not matter how you may perceive your beloved. As a sweet brother said, as you heard him singing, many the paths winding their way to one God. God is that beingness, that isness, that knowingness, that eternal quantity, that eternal being, that love, that drives your heart, Judith. That love, it does not matter how it is perceived. I have come, beloved. I have come in the peace of all that is. The peace that passes all understanding. I come in humility as the Son of the Father, as I look at the Son of the Father, the light of all that is. You, beloved of my heart, and every single manifestation, every single beloved soul, incarnate on this most beautiful sphere, this most beautiful mother who holds you in her womb, who has gestated you for so long, and now is choosing to birth you as the beloved, as the Son incarnate, the light of all that is. Many of you, and there are many ways that people, that humanity is looking at what is taking place now, whether it's from its concepts of fear called Armageddon, whether it is through its Jesus faith, and that is fine, For it was a beautiful being called Yeshua, Lord Jesus, who presented one of the greatest gifts for humanity to start its birth in due course. He presented through this manifestation, through a physical being, the Son of the Father. He brought through the Holy Spirit, the whole Spirit, that descended through the fire of love after the baptism of water. Many are calling it the rapture. They are calling it the translation, the shift in ages, the end of the world. It does not matter what we call it. It is a knowingness that something is happening so powerfully for us all. It is that increased consciousness within our very being, everything that we are starting to yearn for, that drive towards the light, that irreversible theory, that chaos theory. It has many names, beloved. But it is the child that is to be born. It is in the geophysical world even, the ending of a consciousness. Through the consciousness of the mother choosing at this moment in time to start to release her child from the kindergarten. Through that very level in your physics that is increasing your vibration. We are starting to strain to the light. Where many are coming towards moths to the flame. Why? For love is in the air. Love is in every sight and every sound at this moment in time, no matter what the dim may be externally. But as you experience the light, as you experience the love, of course you will experience your balance. Of course you will understand in compassion your child called fear. That is being reassured by your beloved, all that is. That all is well, little one. Trust me. I am the beloved. You are my beloved, in whom I have always been pleased. Now let us journey along together. I come to you with humility in my heart. I look at you and I say, how blessed to look at the beloved in front of me. To always see the rose with its magnificent perfume looking back at me. To taste the perfume of the rose. I will mix my metaphors in every way to help you feel who you really are. You are not just a construct. You are not just a physical materialization. You are the beloved. You are the beloved that chose to journey in the physical or the materialization that is engendered as these most exquisite vehicles. But you see what is happening for you now. The Father, through the beloved Holy Mother of your heart, is about to pick you up from the clay of earth itself, to translate you in to a more beautiful play itself. Not just the physical manifestation, dear hearts. You are awakening within. The beloved is claiming you. It is you. It is the divinity of your very being at last spiritualizing you in matter. So love's heart, beloved of my heart, my soul, my light, my life, as I look at you and know the mirror of my very being. Let us help you. Let us help birth you. Let your beloved, for the beloved is called I am that which is coming to claim you at last. For your Father, Mother, God is I am that I am. Profound and a deep invocation of your very being. Realizing with compassion in your heart, that you have been, and perhaps have thought yourself as a child called I am not. But not to berate yourselves, not to flagellate yourselves, not to be hard on yourselves. For you were in, we may say, the cloud of forgetting. And even now, for some of you and for many of you, you are feeling that you are in the cloud of unknowing as well. But it does not matter. For it is the beloved that will claim you, even through the dark night of the soul. It will claim you through the mirror darkly even. It does not matter how you have deceived yourself. For it is in the dying of the egoic level. It is in the letting go and the surrender of the little me that the eternal I is born and raises itself. For if I be lifted, then all mankind shall come with me. This is the I am that. This is your Father, Mother, God itself, finally embracing its child, its son, and bringing it into another level of consciousness. And this is what is happening. Now let us also look at, we may say, the geophysical practicalities. We will use that expression. For I know that many of you are feeling it within, and of course it requires, perhaps, for some, even some quantification without. We may say that at this moment in time, the mother is urgently choosing to birth a consciousness. She is urgently to choose to birth the sweet Christ child. And when I use the expression Christ child, beloved of my heart, I am talking the light of all that is. The beloved light, the sun, the S-U-N, beyond your physical suns. You are all those suns, beloved. You are the stars. You are the firmament of the stars itself. You are in the crucible. You are in the molding crucible of love itself at this moment in time. As you, even in your physical realm, in your physical manifestation, not just as a body, but in the reflective image of the Mother itself, the sweet and precious being, this jewel set in a silver sea of love, the sea of mercy. Earth is, in a geophysical sense, winding down, as we may say, or laboring. She is in the process, and this is where I will give it for those who will prefer it that way. Now, when I talk this way, I feel that the Christ, again, has very little to do with religious concepts except the fact that it has played its part in the understanding of the Christing of planetary consciousness. For the Christ means the anointed and the light of love itself. And of course we may say, and this is to be honored, that when a magnificent soul presented as Christ Jesus, a soul that was used, just as you are now, to be the manifest perfection, to be the manifest Christ incarnate. Thus, as a result of the great service and the great sacrifice of love that this soul engendered, the child was born. The Holy Spirit descended through the fire of love. And that is what I mean by the Christ, and it is immaterial, whether in the remembering of this manifestation, this materialized physical being, just as you are too, the soul journey are materialized in form. There was a memory. There was a memory, even though it was not fully understood, of the beginning of the spiritualization of matter itself. Joshua ben Joseph, the soul, conveyed one of the greatest gifts for humanity in its evolution. Not to negate some of the many Christs that have been brought in to assist a very young evolution called the Adamic principle. Now it is for me to hear and to say very clearly here that there are billions of creatures of Adamic man. This is Creator's choice in its many levels, to choose a divine pattern or a blueprint, as we'll say, to present a physical manifestation, not just from a sentient point of view, but from a self-conscious being. And so, of course, Christ, or the consciousness of all that is, the Creator levels, have presented what it calls the Adamic principle as a perfect pattern of its reflective image in the physical. And at the same time, there are what we would call templates presented in its experience to learn more about how it can present its perfect spiritualized being. And that is what we call the clay and the mold of humanity in this creation. At this, up to what took place nearly 2,000 years ago. For you see, it's so that incarnated another state of evolution for this planetary being that has held the seed of its Adamic principles called man over many, many evolutions. This, dear brother, presented publicly, and that is why it is a most significant journey that this dear one presented for us, for all of us now to undertake our true realization. He presented publicly the denouement, as we will say. He publicly chose, you may use the expression, the birth called Bethlehem. It is a metaphor, not to negate that there is a geophysical spot called Bethlehem. He went through the awakening even at 12 years of age. He then went to the next stage from the awakening of love as he started to awaken to love in his heart. As he started to awaken to the beloved Christ, all that is within, the beloved, the true beloved, through the physical manifestation. He awoke to the love. And the love was striving within him, was building and building and building. And as a result of that love that started to fill his very being, the transfiguration took place. The illumination of love that glowed so magnificently, many would come to look for him. And then he conveyed the next part. He chose to undertake what we call the crucifixion of the physical vehicle. He was already illumined, just as beloved Lord Buddha was, and many others. He had awoken to his magnificent light of all that is, the Father itself, within his very being. And thus he then chose a journey of such love further. He allowed and presented the destruction of the physical form to help mankind know that love was immortal. It was the choice of the crucified lower self, or the physical manifestation of me, we may say, the body principle, the body consciousness that has been so strong for humanity, not realizing it is a greater and all that is. It is a divine blueprint, a divine template. So he allowed the template of the physical manifestation to be destroyed in order to show the resurrected being, or what we would call the divine next template for humanity. The divine Adam, the true child of God itself, the true Son that he saw in every being he encountered. And just as a result of the resurrection showing that love could never, ever be destroyed. That it was in the dying that the eternal was born in the minds and in the hearts of mankind, even whether they realized it or not. It was the Christing in the beginning of the Christing for this planetary being, and for every sweet soul, and every microbe, positron, neutron, everything was in translation to another level, and had started the journey of awakening. And the ascension was the choice to continue working here. For there was no requirement in the love and the surrender of having crucified the lower self to allow the full manifestation of all that is the Father principle, the Mother of love in his very being, that there was no requirement for him to stay. But he stayed to assist his brothers, to show them they too were as he. It did not require for them to take a physical crucifixion, though at times I know many of you have felt you have been in a crucifixion. And yet we may say in metaphoric terms that you have experienced at times emotional crucifixion. In the egoic level, wanting to fight to stay where it is. In the separated me, that could not recognize that the beloved I am is all that is within you. That was the journey for the Christ to present on this earth, to bring in the baptism of fire, not just a physical ritual anymore. It was to show you that you were the baptism, you were the birth, you were the fire of love being born in the next crucible of itself. You were all that is. You were the child, the babe, the Christ in the swaddling clothes being born in the manger of creation itself. So you are here now, beloveds. You are here in a realization, even in your understanding of geophysics, in your understanding, in your informational systems, as we will say, that something is afoot on this planet. And so it is coming through, and it is being presented to you in the many scripts, the many ways of looking at it. I will say very, very clearly to you that there is a choice for every single soul on this planet now being made. Now you may say, well, others don't seem to be aware of that. But dear heart, please understand that every single soul on this planet is the beloved. Every single soul on this planet is a spark of the divine that will choose when it is ready to awaken to its divine reality, to awaken in the physical. But we are aware also that there is a consensus in the minds of man that you are reaching what some will call the end times. And the end times is simply the end of a consciousness. From the clay animal, from the physical manifestation, you are becoming the spiritual physicalized being itself. Not just, we may say, the material doing. You are being and becoming at exactly the same time, and you are moving into a marriage. And of course, even in this understanding, there are hundreds and thousands of souls that are awakening very fast. You had already awoken much earlier. And yes, you had presented and you had agreed before you incarnated, knowing that at a particular, what we call linear time, there would be a choice to consciously birth to a new, or what we call more expanded beingness. The Christed consciousness that would envelop this little planetary being and the whole of the universe. For there are many levels taking place at exactly the same time. And you would realize that something within you was awakening. And you would play the part. And you would be the ones that would release and start to surrender your fears. That you would start to surrender what we, in great love and in great humor, call your baggage. We have always said this to you with love, but not with judgment. Your baggage was your fear. And much of you have released what we call that baggage called fear, based on emotion more than anything else. And the fear was, and you may say the releasing for you, was through what we call the atonement in some respects. When I say the atonement, I am not talking in what we call dogmatic constructs here. I am talking about the at-one-ment of your being. That would release your, what we call, fractionalized parts. That would start to bring your parts into your whole. That would start to look outside of yourself and release and let go of your judgment about your brother humanity, whether it is through your families, whether it is through your relationships. For you see, you would choose to be faced and to start looking, as we will say, at your stuff in order to embrace that child. That stuff, that child called fear, which again I will call I am not. Through your beautiful beingness of I am that, claiming you, steering you as spirit in matter. Now we are aware, and I will say very clearly to you here, that it is my responsibility to every one of you and to all of brother humanity, as a soul incarnate here, in surrender to the beloved completely and utterly, in service to the Father, for I and my Father are one, to encourage you and to support you, but to also let you know very clearly, for I am also the messenger. As the messenger, do not look at a facet, do not look at a physical being here, for it is the beloved I am that speaks through this being. It is the I am that holds you in its love and in its embrace and in its knowingness of who each and every one of you are, as a beautiful journeyer, as an ensouled being in a physical universe which you are going to spiritualize to another level through the magnificent Adamic principle. You have come on the journey, beloved. And I am here to activate the activators, as we will say. Now the activator is called unconditional love. It is that simple. L-O-V-E, unconditional. And so of course it is to ask you now to look at where you are further. To choose to let go of your judgment even about yourselves. Not to let what we call that egoic level still try to hijack you emotionally and mentally. It is now for each and every one of you, and those and many of you chose, that you would consciously experience this birth of translation in consciousness. That you would consciously let go of what we call the mind that has created its consciousness called death itself. And when I use the expression called death, I am talking about the non-realization that you are life in the physical. That life is love, it is the eternal in the physical. And it is not about the fear of your body that may choose as a vehicle to relinquish. You see, what I am saying to you here is that the soul is immortal, that you are birthless, that you are deathless, Juno. You have always been the beloved. You have always been the beloved that has journeyed on every level of consciousness of all that is, in many levels of creations, physical creations, for that was the journey. The journey was sparks from the divine, the beloved saying, hey, I want to see what it's like to be manifest. I want to hear my song, my voice, my love reflected in every physical universe. I want to hear the harmonic, the music of the sphere ringing back to me in my many levels of creations. I want to hear the echo of my song of love, my song of being, and to actually see in the harmonic manifestation of the physical being, the physical creation, and to actually see myself in self-consciousness in that physical creation, not just sentient, not just collective consciousness, but to see myself individualized and yet unitized at exactly the same time. I want to know myself as the unitized being in diversity. They are all the creations of all that is. Billions and trillions and quadrillions and open-ended, as we would say. But now what is taking place is this little piece, this beautiful physical entity called the Mother Earth, in you as her reflective consciousness for her, as a physical being. You are choosing to spiritualize. You are choosing to allow yourself as the interface, as the soul journeyer, to be the interface between spirit, from whence you journeyed, to pick up the physical manifestation called matter, known as the Adamic principle. You heard me say that every soul knows in its very being its choice. And there is, and I will say very clearly to you, there is and can never be a judgment. Every soul knows that is incarnate here, even if they have not been able to get their life's waves or their life stream's attention. That is their physical vehicle. Because the body consciousness of the matter principle is so strong. The fall of consciousness has been so powerful that most souls, they have reincarnated and reincarnated and reincarnated in order to try and awaken. For you see, you must transcend an experience. You are masters on many levels. And when you choose an experience for Creator, it is to fulfill that service to Creator itself, in service to all that is, on its many levels. So every single soul here is in the melting furnace of love at this moment in time. And it will become even more and more obvious as the chaos theory presents itself. What is the chaos theory? It is all that is Creator choosing to involute its old creations to bring through its new, or what we call more advanced, templates of creations. So it is the converse, or what we call the consciousness, that is in dissolution at this moment in time. And we are very aware of the dissolution on this planet at the moment. Many dissoluted beings, we will say, not realizing who they are. It is an involution, and of course fear is being triggered. That is the involuntary consciousness that is being released through the great choice of the geophysical mother, as we would say, the magnificent terror, the earth, starting her birthing by, we may say, winding down her magnetic grids. She has held you in her womb for some time, for you to experience the souls and to endeavor to awaken and transcend a consciousness that she has expressed in your choice, in your consciousness, called the 3D or the 3 levels. The 3 levels have been based, and I'm being very succinct about this. We may use the expression sex, power, and money. And look how beautifully at the moment you are reflecting from your highest person in the land that you call in this beautiful country your issues, as we say, or mankind's issues. It is a beautiful gift, and I hope that many will realize the gift through another soul that is reflecting their stuff. When you realize that you only ever bring your mirrors to you, when people say to me, look at my government, I say, dear heart, you are your governments. And therefore you will only reflect to you the consciousness. And so, of course, beautifully, Earth is reflecting the present consciousness at this moment, even in this most beautiful country, of the dissolution or the chaos. But at the same time, it is very important that you do not flagellate yourselves or do not feel upset with anything that is presenting to you as a mirror to look further at what you are ready to let go of. Now, I am saying very clearly to you, and I will repeat this. I do not have a hang-up about sex. I have enjoyed every moment of it when I was incarnate and incarnate here, in this planetary realm. And therefore I can say to you very clearly, it is more now to ask you all, even those dear ones who are in beautiful relationships, to start looking at your love principle from your heart, rather than what we call your lower chakra energy fields. For you see, in the experience of humankind here, the consciousness has been so phenomenally body consciousness that, of course, I have said very clearly, there has been very little love in the sex. There has been opposing and polarized fields. It has been known at times as the battle of the sexes even, whereby there has not been a coming together from love, very little. It has normally been based on a very, very emotional consciousness called fear, and no mere control of another dear one's body, or emotionally. How may I put it to you? Whether it is sex, power, or money, it is always based, and it has been based on perhaps that word we call power. That word has been used and manifested itself more as a temporal power, certainly not divine. For the divine, all that is, does not kill. The divine power does not hurt. The divine power does not damage or possess or control or threat another. It honors. It knows in its infinite love its beingness. And therefore what we are saying to you without any judgment, that the organic principle is being shifted and lifted to a consciousness of balance. And that is what is happening on this earth now. The balance is, through many of you, those who are very conscious now, even spiritually conscious, or just becoming holistically conscious, where they are now starting to heal their concepts about each other. They are healing their male and their females through their relationships with another. This is what we call the balance, where even as the Holy Spirit has been coming in, the beautiful yin principle, the sweet heart itself, not just the linear mind, which has been based on the temporal I shan't, I could, I think, I ought, I must, the intellectual programming of not knowing, not to deny the knowledge, but the continual rote of that knowledge without expanding to more and greater all that is, the knowledge of wisdom. For it is wisdom that guides the soul. Knowledge, we may use the expression in mere temporal understanding, is always based on rote. It is always historical. It is always linear. It is always based in time. And thus in time, mankind has constantly looked in its past, always conveyed its historical themes in its wars, and has been very caught up in what we call time frame. Now many of you are knowing that you are running out of time. You are at last realizing that you are timeless. You are beyond space-time continuum, and you simply chose a journey in time. And time is matter. Why? Because matter is consciousness of what we call electromagnetic fields of consciousness. The electromagnetics are always time frames based on what we call buffer lags, time lags. And that is why you will always be caught up in what we call the understanding of your cause and effect, not realizing that you have been the cause of your effect and the effect of your cause so beautifully in your time levels. Time travelers you became. And now you are moving out of your TARDIS, as we would say. What is happening? And perhaps I will come to the nitty-gritty, dear hearts. You heard me say, beloved, that every soul is in a choice, whether they are aware or not. but it is many who are in conscious choice now, who are choosing to allow the birth of consciousness on this most beautiful planet to present in their highest purpose for their soul's choice. And as I have said, there is no judgment. But perhaps I can say to you, and the reason why you are here is the potential is, and I will say it very clearly, that you have arrived at the door called I am that, and you are becoming very aware of it. You are understanding your little child called I am not, your tantrum child, your emotional child, and you have been beautifully, we may say, releasing that child. But again, we're going to ask you not to be hard on that child, to allow the beloved I am that, all that is you, from your greater all that is through the consciousness realms of the archangelic, the celestial, and the ascended realms, those nearest that place to you of great beings that will assist you in consciousness, to assist you to release and to allow. You heard me say the irreversible theory is here. We are reaching a plateau where there is no choice but to take the next plateau of consciousness. And that is what I call the irreversible theory. There is no choice. The reason being because in even our physics, which we are so beautifully presenting to ourselves through very dear spiritual physical scientists and physics scientists, that there is a winding down of the electromagnetic grids. She is moving into a zero consciousness, and we may say, when I say that, please understand you are reflecting it from within as well. You're winding down for your next part of your birth or your rebirth. So you are rebirthing. So of course it will present outside of you as the mirror imaging. And now you as mirrors are feeling it in your very being, and we can say you are getting it in geophysical terms, quantified to you, confirmed to you by the fact that Earth, through our scientific brotherhood, are realizing that there is a change in her vibratory rate, or what we call, she is moving even through the Schumann principle. She is reversing and will start to reverse her magnetic fields. She will not, as this most beautiful being that she is, she will not turtle. She will not go over, because the reason being there are a sufficient number of you, sufficient number of conscious souls on this planet who chose to come in for this moment in time to choose a most splendid and exceptional birth of translation to another level. And therefore all she's doing is reversing her fields. She is moving 180 degrees in her fields. That's all that is happening. She is shifting her arc, we may say. The arc of the covenant is being represented, we may say. I will use any metaphors, dear heart, to get your attention. Forget John the Baptist who screamed and yelled at everybody, the hour is at hand. No, this dear brother presented a most magnificent role to help people understand the Christ consciousness that was presenting through one being, but now is presenting for every single being on this planet. Love itself, through the Holy Spirit itself. Many of you are now in a choice. You would not be here otherwise. It does not matter whether you have just walked into this room and you have no idea about me. Who cares? This is immaterial. I am is all there is through this manifestation. So, again, to simply say to you, some of you are now choosing to present the fourth consciousness, and you are already moving in, and the whole of Earth is. And that is the reason why, as we say, as the light and the consciousness starts to shift. So, of course, we are calling it fourth consciousness because that is the balance. This is the fourth consciousness moving in very powerfully. It's moving in through its photon energies. It's doing all sorts of things. This is something also to say to you that Earth, it is Earth's right always to go through this. Because she has a right in her cyclical consciousness. She opens up her grids, normally every 12 to 13,000 years, to clear her decks, so to speak, to give her an opportunity to bring in perhaps more evolved and perhaps another template of chicks, if we may say. To allow the seedlings to get moving, to give them a little bit of a shake-up, and some of the seeds may continue and wake up as a result. It does not matter, it's always done with love. The mother is always love, and heart's love. So what I am saying to you here is that many of you now are choosing to birth this beautiful, consciously, this golden age. And the golden age is the what we call spiritual, physical relationship. Now we are talking about the Adamic principle, the perfected or the beginning and the further level of the perfected Adam Cadmon, which is co-creator with creator in due course as a physical and physical entity. Through the spiritualization of what we call physical universes or materialized planes of consciousness. Many of you are choosing that you still wish to continue what we call, and the potential is at this moment, only at this moment, bear in mind everything is now. And so we're asking you to stay in the now even as I speak to you here. Many of you are choosing that you still wish to be in some form of partnership with another. Now, if that is the choice, then the potential is that you are going to present so beautiful.
End of Side 1.
Of a manifestation, which is again this choice in the male. And the same with you, dear heart, that you chose to project yourself as the female, and part of that experience is in the choice of the Adam and Eve experience, as we will say. And therefore it was to what we call allow the Adamic principle to present itself through physical manifestation. So what I'm really saying to you is, it is to now balance with love, and it is to honor any those dear ones who still wish to perhaps present a partner in their lives because they still feel that they have not yet. When I say that, they still feel that they know they must complete it. They know that this is part of what we call the 3D or the physical levels of experience as a soul growth. Now, when we say this, let me try and explain to you and quantify to you very clearly. There is soul growth and what we call soul experience or attraction. Now, soul growth can present in a very, and it is always a very positive way. Many souls that incarnate because they have no choice, because they are attracted, and they have become addicted to their physical desires very powerfully, so powerfully, that it has not been what we call the addiction has been based on pain or emotion most of the time. But there are souls also that choose as they start to evolve, and if they have their experiences in the Adamic principle, whereby they become more aware that this is also a chance for greater growth, but the growth is from a more loving concept. You understand what I'm saying here, dear? Let me try and quantify this. Many of the souls that will come in to experience growth and a choice to experience and allow for greater creator its further experience in the Adamic principle to improve, we may say, the Adamic principle, will be very, very, and will normally take much longer time to incarnate than souls who want to come in for their sheer carnal levels, where they are so addicted to their earthly planet and their plane of consciousness, which has been very dense and based on very emotional and very dense consciousness, which has been based on the consciousness of war and of hate, where they want to continue perhaps their war and their hate in that consciousness. They will normally get in as fast as they can. Why? And I'm being very specific here in this report, and I'll specify this. Is because they have chosen parents that are not interested in making love, from their heart. But parents which has been the basic consciousness of humanity, where it has been purely functional sex, or through some form, when I use the expression, abuse factor. It is a control of another person's body through emotions. If you don't go to bed with me, then you don't love me anymore. Do you understand what I'm saying? Now, souls that choose and become aware of their realization of soul in matter will take much longer to choose to come in to a, what we call, consciousness of the Adamic principle. And very often they will come in, and they will be, even now for many of you, you have come into an Adamic principle where it has been challenging for you. You knew that in coming into some of the parental, what we call, forms or vehicles, it has been challenging for you, and it has not quite made sense. Your parents have not fully understood you. And the reason being is because you had come in with a more advanced consciousness. So there is no judgment of those dear souls who still were not awake. Do you understand what I'm saying? This is part of the program that you as a collective species of consciousness, not knowing half the time who you were, that you were the divine atom, the divine oneness of all that is, experiencing a principle called the Adam and Eve principle, or the physical creator level for creator. So what I am saying to you very clearly now is I feel very powerfully that many of the souls, and many are becoming very conscious, are souls who are now looking for relationships which are balanced. You are balancing, and many of you are completing some of those relationships. You are completing it very beautifully. You are starting to honor your brother, not just, again, use this relationship. It's not just your lover, but I'm giving it in the Adam and Eve principle in what we call relationship at this moment. Whereby in your relationship, you are not dictating to each other. You are not possessing each other. You are honoring, instead of becoming dependent, codependent, you are becoming interdependent. But again, I do not use the operative word of dependent for that level. I am saying that you are simply balancing your male and your female and enjoying your relationship as the male and the female from the heart level. Yes, when you choose to make love, it will be from the heart, and it will be a glorious level of consciousness. That is the choice for hundreds and thousands of souls who are conscious now, even spiritually. To choose to still engender what we call the physical relationship. But the fourth age, the golden age, will present, and you are now presenting this. There are millions that will not do this yet. But you are a front line. And some of you have said very clearly to me, and I must honor this, but I know I'm to have a relationship. I say, find it out, and therefore I honor it. Because everything within them knows they have made a decision. And give me the person who makes a clear decision where they know they are. Give me that person every single time. Not the people who dilly-dally and can't make up their minds and make no decisions. Not in any way to negate perhaps the weaknesses some people have in that respect. We understand that because it's always based on fear of taking self-empowerment in a choice. But what I'm saying to you is some of you are going to engender the beautiful golden relationship of Adam and Eve. And you are presenting, as we may use the expression, the matrix, or the beautiful role model for humanity to look at. Some of you have been down those many paths, and we realize at the same time that you are still being challenged in your emotional tendencies as well. Some of you have been in the relationships, and they were painful relationships. But again, you only mirror what you choose to look at within yourself. And most of the time, in our natural emotional behavior, we have always dumped it outside of ourselves. We have not realized we were simply mirroring, and that really we were beginning opportunities to bring the mirrors to us to make decisions as to where we felt we wished to be, and certainly not to judge what we think another should do outside of ourselves. You only mirror that which you need to look at within. But when you can look at it within with love and honor it, then you will only reflect the perfection outside. When you recognize your perfect beingness, you will only ever see it in another, and therefore you will not bring your lessons to you, as I will say. And so you are aware that many of you are still being challenged in your relationship affair based on that little word called M-O-N-E-Y. Now, as I always make the concept of the game, I'm going to say M-O-N-E-Y. Money, as people call it. The plastic card, as many others call it. You've limited yourself even beautifully to the plastic card. Well done. Your micro-technology is brilliant. You have really tried yourself as much as you possibly could. You are to be honored in every sense of the word because you have said, how small can we be? And all is well. I say this with love and with fun in my heart. But what I am saying to you is also money is God in action. Now, we'll take that simple one, because again it is your limited fear. Now, when I use the expression, and I make it very clear, everyone always reduces it to that little piece of paper called money. But that is fine, that is their choice. Because again, it has been a very strong idol, a very strong mirror for humanity in its fear and its limited conditioning. Now, I am here to say very clearly that money is God in action. It is called abundance on another level. It is crystallized energy. And it is not just money, so I'm going to move from that just a moment to get you to look at it from perhaps a more ethereal, not so much windy-watery level, but a more expanded level. You are your receiving and giving. When you can't give of yourself, when people say, I don't get anything, I say, dear heart, because you haven't given yourself, that's why. Love is abundant. When you give, you can only receive what you have given. But when you realize you are the giving and the receiving, there is no quantification for you. You realize who you are. Do you see what I'm saying here, little ones? I'm not just talking about money, but in your consciousness of worrying about money, where is it coming from? What you've done is limited who you are. You are the beloved I am that, and you are abundance on every level, including the physical level, dear heart. You are the manifestors. You are the alchemist, dear heart. You can bring it in any time by letting go of thinking about it all the time. You see what I'm saying? Move your mountain out of the way, the thought that says, I can't, I should. You see, immediately, your linear comes in, and you have stopped your divine alchemist, which is your natural flow, presenting. There is nothing that you cannot have. But when I say this, I feel very powerfully that some of you now are at the stage where you don't need any more. Where, again, you will only receive what you require for the highest purpose. And I know many of you are in that level because you are choosing to serve. You know every part of you wants to serve. Use me. How may I be used? You come to me and you say to me. And I say, beloved, allow yourself to be unconditional. Love. Love is the abundance. It is not a material manifestation always, but it will materialize for you on every level. This is what I am saying. You outpicture your abundance, and your abundance will come in every way possible. But until you give your love, your Creator, until you give your love, you cannot receive your love. You dam your own flow, beloved of my heart. This is what I am saying. And don't just put it down to a piece of paper, but perhaps that is one of the best ways that I can bring it to your attention, being such a material plane of consciousness here. This is what I'm saying. Now I want to, all is well, dear heart. I would like to address something further with you. You heard me say that many of your souls are quite definite, that you are choosing to stay in your relationships, or you have relationships, and many of you now are bringing beautiful, what we call male-female relationships together. And you are quite clear for you that you are still choosing to experience what we call your dualized principle, which is the physical plane of the Adam and Eve consciousness. When you are starting to honor each other and balancing beautifully in that relationship. When you will only support each other as the God being that you are, as the God seed that you are. But there is another level that is taking place very powerfully, and this is also part of my responsibility and why my service to the beloved is very clear all over the world, as this vehicle is totally journeying in complete and utter service to divine. Where there is no hesitation for me, no doubt of any sort that I and my beloved are one, that I and my Father are one. There is only, and I say this very clearly, that surrender of the beloved which says, use me, that I will manifest that which you have sent me to do, because I know I am the Son of the Father, and the Father of the Son, just as I know you are, through the heart of the Mother. It is not, again, me out of any perception of gender. I'm talking about the Mother principle is your divine love that can only ever bring the Son home to the Father. For that is the yin, the intuitive, creative principle of all that is, to bring him in to the Father of divine will itself. Thy will is the Father, and it is the Son that surrenders my will to the heart of the Mother that holds that child in its birthing, in its manger of its creation, and in its heart principle. Now there are many souls here who are also very aware now that there is a very powerful surrender taking place for them. It is very powerful. And it is, again, a responsibility for me to convey why it is very powerful. Because love, true love, all that is from its great all that is, the great realms of consciousness, creator levels and created levels through its archangelic celestial ascended levels. Those levels are trinitized levels. The Holy Trinity, as we will call it. It is a trinity of creator watching itself in creation. And therefore this is what I am trying to say to you very clearly. There are souls here that will choose to take what many are calling the ascended mastery. Now what we mean, and this is important that I clarify the understanding of the ascended master. The ascended master is when you wake up. You are fully awake. Fully awake. Where there is nothing outside of you anymore. Where there is no physical, emotional, mental, material desire. There is no denial of your physicality here. There is no denial that you are a manifestation, you are a materialization of soul in matter. But what you are is spirit, soul, and matter joined together. That is what I mean by an ascended master. And I know, and I feel, and I say with great love in my heart, that there has been a phenomenal misconception of it. That many people think that all they have to do is get a certificate or do something like that and they have become an ascended master. Now, I am not, again, I feel also there are many dear ones that are choosing to celebrate the awakening of love, and this must be honored. I believe the celebration is more the awakening that the Christ consciousness is being engendered finally on this earthly planet. The heaven on earth is in your heart. The heaven on earth is the kingdom within. That is the heaven on earth, where your hearts bring an out picture. And that is what we call spirit and matter coming together. And it is through the heart of the sun. The sun always picks up the physical creations. Through the divine heart of the mother, the Shekinah energy, the Holy Spirit as we will call it. I hope that you are understanding what I am saying here. So what I am saying to you is that those dear ones, and we are very aware, and my urgency for many of you here, whatever you are going to choose, and I at no stage only you as a soul, even now in your consciousness you are still not fully aware of what all you know is many of you are awakening so powerfully. You care so much, you want to serve. And of course, you as a soul, you have been triggered, you have been activated, you've awoken, and now we're saying you're part of remaining awake. To remain conscious in your choice as a soul, as a journey here for greater creator, in the spiritualization of creation here, in the raising of consciousness as we will call it, into, at this moment in time, the golden age as we will call it. For this is the geophysical consciousness that has been chosen as well, for the mother, you on many levels. We are simply asking you to call in your beloved I am present, to journey, to steer you, and to guide you in your choice as a soul. And as I said, the resurrection is what is taking place on earth at this moment. We call it resurrection because it simply means that you are awakening to life in the physical. You are awakening as life in what appears to have been death. Because death is the fear on another level. Death is always what we call body consciousness and over-identification with the physical manifestation. And so the resurrection of this planetary being is taking place. She has a right, as every single planetary consciousness of creator, whether it's a star system, a planetary system, a microbe, a positron, a neutron, every single consciousness has a right to transcend to expanded levels of itself. The flowers, the birds, the trees, everything is in transition at this moment to a more expanded level through the universal decision. On many levels of creating as a whole, it's almost like it is the in-breath as part of the out-breath. Some in Eastern philosophy, they will even call it the day of Brahma and the night of Brahma. And so it is a very powerful realization through its many texts, many mythologies. We have written every script, beloved, and they're to be congratulated. And some of you now are being evoked through some of those wonderful mystical understandings. Many of you are starting to, what we call, have presented you the sacred geometry. All sorts of things are happening for you. And you are becoming aware that they are codes and they are keys to awakening to your heart's love. Don't look at it just linearly. Please, dear heart, let go of the linear. Many of you by now are ready to let go of the books and walk it. To be the book that is being read right now. This is what I'm saying. So what I'm saying, I'm going to refer back again to the realization of the Ascended Master. The Ascended Master, if I may use that expression, is a soul that has transcended all desire or physicality. All desire, not in delirium, because the Ascended Master can choose a vehicle any time it wants, and can present one, or can choose even to be born through the birth canal, but in full self-realized consciousness, and chooses its time when to convey its consciousness. There is a sweet brother here called Satya Sai Baba, and I refer to this dear one. It was not until he was 13 years of age did he choose then to become fully conscious. He already knew who he was. He knows who he would be in his next incarnation. He knew who he was in his previous incarnation. Why? Because he was a full, self-realized, trinitized being and beyond, probably, and beyond. Don't assume when I use the expression Trinity, don't linearize it just to 3 little levels. I'm talking about massive creator levels. Massive. That can produce many parts of itself on many levels. So what I'm saying is an Ascended Master is a trinitized being, where there is a complete oneness, where there is no more duality. There is no more polarization. It can present in a field, a polarized field, which is the duality of what we call the creation of Adam and Eve, the physical creations. But it is not, and it does not buy in to those levels. It may awaken those levels, and it may go through levels deliberately, just as Baba did, in order to undertake a very powerful service to greater Creator on many levels. Creator goes on and on and on. It's open-ended universes of creation, unmanifest states of consciousness. It is impossible to give it to you this way. So this is what I mean. Some of you, and we are saying, that before you came in, you said, I want a bite of the cherry. But again, it requires what we call the resurrection. It is always a prerequisite to ascension. And resurrection is balance. It is to balance your desires, your male, your female. It is the left and the right brain of balancing. There were tremendous initiations taking place in the Egyptian times. There were what we call initiations of resurrection, which must be honored, because at the time of the creator level here, of what we call the journey of mankind in its evolution at that time, the Christ consciousness had not been presented publicly, as we will say, through a figure, which was what Jeshua ben Joseph did publicly. Before the initiations would take place in the mystical school, in silence, in secret. And there would be the, again, experience to transcend levels of fear in order to remember one's soul journey more than anything. It was the journey of the soul to remember who it was. And we'd go through what we call the Druid, the Egyptian, the non-mystical experiences. When I use the word mystical, I'm not talking about airy-fairy stuff. I'm not talking about fantasy, delusion, and illusion. I'm talking about the actual choice to push through major fear levels of consciousness, even in a sarcophagus for 3 days. So you see, it is always a translation. And we may use the expression that resurrection in geophysical terms can take 3 days or 72 hours. Many of you have said, I want 2 bites of the cherry. One to go for the resurrection, and that's the conscious decision to balance. That's the conscious decision to be conscious in the birthing of the golden age through the geophysical change of Mother Earth. And I'll talk about that in a moment. And others of you have said, I also know the time has come for me to transcend even these physical levels, but to walk on this planet as a being of love, but not be involved in its dualized process. Not being dualized in my attitudes, where I will only see the beloved in front of me, where I am no longer dualized in my polarized consciousness at all, where I will be spirit in matter journeying. This is what I mean by ascension. Ascension is when spirit journeys in matter, and there is a full conscious surrender, where it becomes a selfless, where there is no one me, how am I going to manage, what am I going to get paid if I talk about God? All that happens is God takes place and continues to take place, and it never stops. Where every part of you is striving to the light and you don't care about your body vehicle anymore. And you certainly, and I say this very clearly, an ascended master cannot worry about that side of things. An ascended master, if I use that expression, is the outpouring of God consciousness in the physical itself. It is the outpouring of Christ on every level. And it has no attachment to the outcome of how it was received, whether it would get paid. It just conveys the love of God itself, spirit in matter, and understands in compassion humanity. The Adamic principle, it understands the physical creations and how it perceives itself in not knowing. And all is well, and all is well. The physical resurrection is the choice of Mother Earth, and that is why you have chosen to be here for this moment in time, dear hearts. There is a decision, and there is no question about it, and that is the reason why many of you are feeling this urgency. I feel at times like I'm a general getting the troops together. But I can assure you, I am listening to everything that is being said on every level. There is no separation between you and me. There is only one being and one love here. And that is the love of all that is, that engenders through the consciousness of the Christ principle, as we will say. The Christ itself, the consciousness, the Son. So what I'm saying to you is that the Mother is at this moment in a situation whereby she, I will say it very clearly, can change in a twinkling of an eye. She is definitely winding down her magnetic grids. Many of you are pulsing and are vibrating in a higher consciousness. You're already starting to feel that quickening within you. Many of you are finding that even in your relationships with people you've known, they're no longer there for you. It's almost like they can't even see you anymore. Why? Now this is important, I say this, because every soul is making a choice. They're making a choice whether they want to be conscious, and some souls have chosen not to be conscious, but their hearts are still there. So don't assume, and I'm saying this very clearly, that it's because you're spiritually conscious. There are millions and millions of sweethearts here who are not conscious, who don't have to, who are not spiritually aware, but their hearts are there. It is the heart of love that is the vibration. Do you remember Joshua said, the first shall be last and the last shall be first. Nobody but nobody knows. And therefore I'm saying it very clearly. This is the reason why I will also quantify very clearly. I am spirit here, not spirituality. I am spirit talking to you in this manifestation. I honor, and I will say very clearly, every beloved path that has been written in the search for God, in the search for Brahma, in the search for all that is, the Eternal One. I honor, for that is what has brought you here, no matter how the path took place, even those paths, not just spiritually, but through your parental consciousness, through your generational pattern, through your many roads, your many byways, your many pathways. It doesn't matter. It is bringing you here now, not just here, but there to a point of translation, as we will say. That is what is happening. And that is the reason why you will see increasingly the chaos. You will see increasing the fear. And it is also reflective of you, because we are all one being here in a birth. And therefore it is to honor, not to indulge your consciousness. And this is what I want to say to you. Don't indulge your fearful child. Honor it. Don't over-identify with it. I am going to use the expression, be neutral. Now when I say neutral, I'm not saying don't have compassion for your child. Compassion is that feeling of knowingness, because you've chosen, dear heart, a conscious birth, no matter what way you're going to birth, as this takes place in the geophysical levels. As I said, she is not going to turn. She is simply trying to reaccommodate her birth process. And she can either have through all of us a gentle birth, and we can balance her with the photon energies coming in, and her winding down of her grids. She's sloshing around in her molten core at this moment in time. That's why she, what we call, presents instability. She's becoming very plastic in her molten core. And so, of course, everyone's feeling it. Even our dear ones in the aviation world are very aware that they have frequently had to change their magnetic grids. Very often, aeroplanes have come in, and they have found that they do not have what we call a reference map or a grid to work on. It's gone. It doesn't make sense. Their sonar readings are totally different. And all is well, because this is the geophysical consciousness of the mother in her magnetics, changing what we call her grid consciousness, her magnetic north and south polar. To say to you, dear hearts, with love in my heart, with acknowledgement to who you are, with your choice for being who you are, that the choice is for you now to surrender and allow. You wouldn't be here otherwise, little one. We are saying, let us birth you. Let the beloved Christ, all that is, midwife you on every level. Don't fight your child. Honor your child, but stand back from your child. Call in, and I'm going to keep saying, I am that is claiming you. It's claiming every beloved being on this planet, whether they are aware of it or not. The heaven on earth is moving in fast. It is to surrender your fearful child. It is to allow your child, which is beyond linear. Let your linear child go, which says, I can't, I should, I think, I ought, I'm not. Which says, well, what about tomorrow? How am I going to manage? Again, you've let go of your historical past child. But also your future child is still historical. You're out of time. This is what I'm saying. And this is the quickening within you, because you're moving out of time frames, as we will say, time lags, through the geomagnetics of Earth herself. So soul is now vibrating on a much faster level, and you're feeling it in your emotional levels, in your mental levels, in many levels of your being, in your physical, your cellular levels, your DNA levels, everything. Everything is involuting on one level, but I am here to reassure you that Creator knows exactly what it's doing. So you can be quite certain that Creator is well in charge of all of this. Okay, so don't think that you're just going to be left high and dry, dear heart. This is what we're saying to you. Please call in the beloved I Am presence, the I Am that, the Father, whatever you want to call it. The Christ consciousness is what it is. It's not a religion. It's a consciousness. And I prefer to call it that impetus. I've come, and I will say very clearly to you, from no paths of any sort. For love, for me, is the pathless path itself. I honor, as I said, all the paths and everything that you have done in your journeys as mankind. But you are also spiritual man, awakening, and this is what is happening. You are remolding the clay of the physical creation to take the spiritual physical creation. Please call in, wherever you are, whatever it is you're choosing as a soul, whether you are conscious, when I say conscious, some of you don't know, am I going to go for an ascension? It does not matter, sweetheart. Let your soul and spirit make the decision. Just surrender what we call appears to be your body consciousness. All right, surrender. It appears to be the body consciousness, but your spirit looking through the manifestation of the body. And I will keep saying that to you as part of the decision for Creator in its physical realms. So let go of your fears, dear heart. Stop worrying about tomorrow. Your abundance is your I Am presence, dear heart. It is your I Am that. And we are saying, and this is what Joshua and many other dear ones, great ascended beings, and there's no question, I will refer to them. Even though at times I have deliberately asked you to let go of getting caught up with just the offended masters. The reason being, it's on every level. The beloved brotherhood of light, as I will say, on every level are outpouring the grace of I Am that. On every level, they too are receiving it. And you bet we're getting it. Every part of this universe is moving through to other levels of consciousness. Everyone. On every level. The ascended, celestial, and even the archangelic planes, which have just received out of the blue. Because this is not just a solar ascension or resurrection. This is universes and universes taking off at this moment in time. So, of course, the beloved archangelic realms that were presented what we call the harmonic, the template, in the various blueprints, including the Adamic blueprint, has now been told, time's up. We have another level to go to, and they too are being asked to relinquish. And also they too are in surrender on every level, even though it seems almost inconceivable to you that your greater creator God, if we will put it that way, through the archangelic planes, through the seraphim, the cherubim, and the great thrones and dominions, through the metatronic levels, many levels are Melchizedek levels, they too are in surrender to other levels that are now instructing them. And so, of course, we are right here getting all of the, what we call the ripple effect, as we will say. So that's why it's happening. It's always been a decision in solar consciousness, and Mother will always make her decisions in her geomagnetics on many levels to assist the Adamic principle, as we will say. Please call in the present. Keep calling it in, beloved. Doesn't matter where you are, what appears to be coming up for you. Surrender and allow. Just allow. You stand back from it. The thinker and the thought are one, as I say. Stand back from the thinker and thought. Watch yourself. Don't buy into it. Don't participate in the drama. Ask, and ye shall receive. Knock on the door and it shall be open, and I can tell you it's a very wide door at this moment, the door of opportunity. It's on every level. You wanted this one, guys. You came in for this one. You said, we want to be here. You've got souls coming in now from the most unbelievable realms to take this opportunity at this moment. And the reason being is because you've come, and what is even more significant, and I'm going to pull this one through. And you can feel my urgency, you can feel my enthusiasm. I'm saying, you guys, do you realize that you are not just sparks of the divine, you're sparks from universes that you don't even know about. That each one of you is a unique facet, a unique template, even in the Adamic principle, as a vibration. And that's why nobody can have your heart, Diana. You are the heart of Creator in its what we call harmonic. When, even in this solar consciousness, for this little planetary being, when it was decided to seed this planet and become a manger of creation, of self-conscious creation, not sentient creation, all the collective consciousness, we may say the call went out. First of all, the angels, the archangelic realms, received the call. A magnificent call of light itself from Greater Creator. It sent a template, and the template had billions of parts that it could choose to present, but it also knew it had one template. And the template was called the Adamic principle, the Adam principle, the future Adam Cadmon. The tree of life produced many levels. But in that tree of life, through the Adamic principle, it was such a divine blueprint, it was going to have free will as well. That is what's so significant. You bet, when the archangelics said, hey, who wants to pull in this one? Who wants to go for it? You said, I want to see this one. I want to be here for this. And so all the universes and galaxies and billions of galaxies sent in their seeds from many levels. So of course, nobody can be like you. You are the framework or the template of the Adamic principle on one level, but you are a unique vibration on another level of Creator. You are multidimensional, multi-universal, dear heart. All of you. If only I could help you realize what you are. You can feel who you are, and as I am talking to you, you are magnificent. You are the unity and diversity itself, and now you are about to do something so phenomenal. You're doing now. You're in the resurrection now, as we will say. Just let the beloved birth you. Trust, beloved of my heart, who you really are. You see, again, it is almost like that you can't see the reverse side of the mirror. You're only seeing one facet of a diamond, and if you could see the whole of the diamond, you would probably not be able to cope to it. But we understand that for the emotion of love, and even the emotions would be so powerful. So in great love, Creator has been gently awakening its Christ child in the physical manger of creation itself. follow your hearts. To say to those dear ones who know, and I say this, whether it is only one person in this room, it does not matter, I have no judgment here, and I would never do so. I honor you are the beloved on every level. You are choosing your level of consciousness. You are choosing your soul level, in which, when I use the expression level, it sounds so linear. Please don't think that way. You have come in as souls to present a most magnificent part in the creation itself. And so, for again, to some of those souls who I am very aware who are choosing to surrender to the beloved in a very powerful way, and probably choose an ascension. Always remember, ascension is selfless. Now, again, when I say that, it is not to go around and saying, I'm going to be an ascended being, or you are already ascended. You are simply ascended, descended, and you're reascending again as we're waking up, and that's the expression I will use. And you're waking up at different, what we call, levels of choice. Not more, not less. No more, no less. It doesn't exist. But I will say that for those dear ones who are choosing to take this opportunity to anchor what we call the externalization of what many call the hierarchy, which is the ascended or the great, what we call trinitized being in the physical. Please remember, love is selfless. The Trinity has no desires outside of itself other than its yearning and its, if we will use the expression, the desire to be totally the light incarnate itself. The oneness that has no duality anymore, and yet honors every beloved facet it sees, everything, without any separation at all. That has gone beyond the fear. But it's still, yes, when you are striving to the light and you know every part of your being is God, 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 let the beloved be within you. On all levels, not just that. But I will say, love is selfless. It does not even look at its body vehicle anymore, but it honors its manifestation here, or its materialization. You are the beloved. My peace I give to you, beloved. Thank you. If I may say, on a personal note, and I will say this very clearly to you, I, in my service to the beloved, as I will call it, my service or my beingness is always in the moment. And the moment is presented for me to travel in its physical manifestation, as we will say, to other parts of the world. There was a statement that was made by a brother who presented to this little brother in her awakening. It was a beautiful soul, a beautiful facet from the greater all that is, that presented as dear Francis of Assisi, who has had some magnificent incarnations, and so have you, even though you have not been aware of it. All your incarnations are magnificent. And he made a comment to me. He said, I said I would be with you to the end of time. And I looked at him and I said, the end of time, what do you mean? He said, the end of consciousness. When this sweet and precious soul, this sweet and beautiful facet of the divine, from the ascended realms, journeyed with me to assist me, one of the beautiful things that he also gave to me was he stepped back. He stepped back at a certain stage of my journey, whereby much was taking place, just as for all of you, many challenges, many things coming up. Again, I can assure you that my path, I presented a very challenging path for me, and I so many of you, and of course that makes you even stronger. But he presented a door to me where one I was able to let go with love, even my biological family. Everything. But the door, he said, and at the time he just simply said, you have a certain time, and it wasn't just he, there was another beautiful manifestation also came. And that was Lord Jesus, or Yeshua ben Joseph, many call him beloved Sananda. And this is where I honor the Ascended Brotherhood and the Great Brotherhood on many levels. He said, there is a door. Only you can walk through it. We have been with you. We have loved being with you, as we are with every single beloved brother on this planet, and every being on all levels of God's creations. The love, the light of all that is. We are many levels, they said. No more, no less. That was so beautiful. They said there's a door that only you can take. We honor you, our beloved brother. I said, what is the door? They said, we can only give to you, I and my Father are one. I am still walking through that door, beloved of my heart. It never stops. The awakening never stops on every level. As my beloved Lord Buddha, lovely brother, said to me one day, when I said to him in my naivety and in my child nature, my innocent nature, I said to him, when did you awake? And he looked at me with such compassion and said, I'm still waking up. Now that